Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're talking about Barbarian movies. But first, do you like anything, Dan?
Sure. I don't have as much, I think, just because I've been not consuming as many things here, but I played a video game called Sundered, played the Eldritch Edition, which was just like, with the DLC in it. And it was pretty fun. It was like a Metroidvania kind of game where you're running around collecting the stuff and then getting upgraded and fighting the bosses. And
Nice.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was difficult in some parts because some parts of the map would just have like endless spawning enemies, and that was on purpose. But it would just be like, you're like, I have to just try to explore this area, and you're just like, I'm constantly under siege. But it was it was fun, and I enjoyed that. And then I read Alien Isolation, the novel based on the movie video game.
Oh, okay. How was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was funny reading, of course, it based off a video game. So in some instances, she's just like, and then I found this, it made a smoke bomb, because that's obviously from the game. And then, but then they could brush by certain things because she's like, I ran from here to here, where of course in the game they'd probably be like, oh, you're exploring around, right? But it was kind of cool. I like the Alien universe, so it was just wanted to read something in that area.
Cool.
Yeah. And that was it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh.
I mean, aside from all the Barbarian movies that we're probably going to talk about.
So I watched The Great on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really recommend it. It's like a highly fictionalized version of Catherine the Great coming into power.
Right.
And it's really funny. And it's got a very weird... It reminded me a lot of The Favorite, actually. Where it has, like... It's, like, based on history, and there's a lot of things that are historically accurate, but the characters generally have, like, modern sensibility.
Right.
And it was really good. It starred, I don't know, that guy that plays Beast in, like, Days of Future Past and X-Men First Class.
Nick Holt?
I don't know what his name is.
About a boy?
He played Peter, the not great. But I really recommend it. It's really funny. It's really well done. And it was really good.
Cool.
Yeah. And that's it. I also watched season 3 of The Great Canadian Bake Off, which is just charming. Mm-hmm. Dan Levy is not the host for season 3, which is sad, but it's still good.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it though. Oh, and I've been playing World of Warcraft again. Which is
back
really
to the
fun.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, back to the world. I've decided that this world is bad, and I'm going to live in the World of Warcraft instead.
Yeah. It's fun in Azeroth.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Cool.
That's it. That's all I got to say. So now let's talk about Barbarian movies.
Yeah, this topic, it was just kind of like, I, for some reason, just felt like watching some, so I like downloaded some and started watching some here and there, and then we kind of decided to just do this topic. So you haven't watched as many recently as, say, like I have.
I tried to watch one, and I couldn't, because it was so bad.
Yeah, the one you chose was definitely bad.
Well, was it The Warrior Queen or something?
Yeah, I believe The Warrior Queen on Prime.
It's so bad. Like, halfway through, and I was just out.
That one was a bait and switch, because it seemed like it was going to be, like, the cover is like, this is going to be something cool, and it was not cool.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be, like, a heavy metal story.
Yeah, it turned out to be about Pompeii, and just before it got hit by the volcano, and it was like...
sex slaves? I don't know.
Yeah, basically about a brothel thing going on, and I was like, this is not... this is not a movie.
But I was watching the beginning, because the warrior queen's in a carriage, and they get attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching it, and I was like, oh, they only had access to 4 horses. It seems like. Because it was just the same 4 horses over and over again.
Yeah, sure. Like, it's fine that it was low budget, but it still told a terrible story terribly.
Oh yeah, it did. But yeah, that was my first thought was, I guess they only had, access to 4 horses. They knew somebody with a horse farm, but they only had 4 horses.
Couldn't rent all the horses. They could only afford 4 of them.
Yeah, so what made you decide to watch a bunch of Barbarian movies?
Well, actually, Red Letter Media did because I very much enjoy their stuff. And they do a couple episodes where they watch Deathstalker 1 and Deathstalker 2. And I had never seen the Deathstalker movies. And there are 4 of them. And I was just like, I wonder if they're any good, basically.
Based on the name, I feel like it sounds like a Rambo ripoff. Like it sounds like store brand Rambo movie.
Right. Yeah, but the movie covers are like him fighting some kind of beasts, with a scantily clad woman, and you're like, whoa, it's some kind of fantasy epic barbarian movie.
Yeah, I saw them on Prime. They look awesome, but I didn't watch any.
They're actually pretty watchable, but it's all madness watching them. Because the first 3 movies, Deathstalker is played by a different actor.
In each movie?
Yeah, but then the 4th one has the actor from the first movie.
And is it supposed to be the same person?
Yes.
Oh. Why did he leave and come back for the 4th one?
I don't know. Maybe he thought he could, maybe he had other movie roles, or he's like, I could parlay this into a better thing, and then he couldn't. Or he was like, oh, and then Deathstalker 4 was like, we'll give you some money.
All right.
And the craziest thing about it is that Deathstalker 1 and Deathstalker 2, the character is wildly different. And then Deathstalker 2 and Deathstalker 3, they're pretty close to the same. And then Deathstalker 4, he's like a mix of all 3 of them because it's madness.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But they all have the same plot where it's just basically like Deathstalker has to get involved in some kind of they're all kind of like, hey, you have to do a tournament or a fight thing. Actually, that's a big lie. That's 1 and 4. 2 and 3 have like a, standards. The princess comes to him and he's got to do a quest to find the thing, save the kingdom. But they all end in a big fight.
Which one was your favorite?
Ooh, that's tough. I think the first one has the best production value.
Okay. And
2 and 3 are just hilarious because of the character becomes like a character. He's more comical and like, haha, happy-go-lucky.
Oh, yeah.
And then the 4th one had some good stuff. But I think the first one is the best one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But which actor played him the best?
I think he was the best in the 4th one as from the guy from the first, because he's kind of a little more lightened up, whereas in the first one he's gruff, McSerious the whole time.
Oh, good time.
Yeah. But I was gonna say one thing that was crazy in Deathstalker, and I'm sure you noticed it in The Warrior Queen, and I've noticed it watching all these Barbarian movies, is that I think every actress either goes topless or bottomless or both at some point in the movie. Like in Deathstalker as well, it's like literally every woman. I'm just like, okay, this is just getting excessive here.
I feel like it's so that people watch the movie.
Sure.
Because there's nothing like, well, with Warrior Queen, there was nothing really going on unless there was tits out.
Yeah. And there was some gratuitous nudity in it in that movie. Like it's like,
oh my God, yeah,
frontal for like 2 minutes, and I'm like, is there a point to this scene? Like,
yep. And then like there was a lot of at least in the first half, a lot of like almost rape scenes.
Yes, very much so.
They're like, hey, it'd be fun, a rape scene.
Yeah.
And then like now when we watch it in 2020, we're like, that's not fun for anybody. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Well, and Deathstalker, of course, has a lot of assault as well, and you're just like, come on.
Why were the 80s so bad?
Yeah, there was still just a lot of it was coming from the 70s exploitation movie stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess what was crazy, Deathstalker was crazy, and they were kind of fun, and like he would always meet some kind of, like I said, princess or someone who didn't know anything about the world, and he's all like, "I'm Deathstalker, what's up?" But I think you can't really talk about Barbarian movies without talking about the best Barbarian movie,
Which is?
Conan.
Yes. The
From
like
1982.
original?
Yeah, from 1982, Conan.
I've never seen it.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a
Oh.
bad person.
No,
Why did you talk about it?
I honestly thought you had seen Conan before.
No, I haven't because I don't care.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
But why don't you tell me about it?
Well, Conan, of course, famously stars Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's from 1982.
Yeah.
And it's just based off I think it's Robert E. Howard stories and novels. And Conan the Barbarian, his whole family gets slaughtered by James Earl Jones because he's trying to solve the riddle of steel.
Wait, by James Earl Jones?
Yeah, James Earl Jones is the bad guy.
Oh, but he seems so nice.
No, he's the evil snake leader in this one.
Oh, is he all buff and jacked and stuff?
Well, he's wearing armor most of the time or some robes, so you can't really tell.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so then Conan gets sold into slavery, becomes like a gladiator fighter, and then his owner like lets him go into the world, and he travels to the Far East and learns from the war masters, and then comes back to just be a thief, be the man, and then get revenge on James Earl Jones. Yeah, it's simple story, but it's pretty classic, and it's like, he meets a thief, well, he meets two thieves, and then falls in love with Valeria, one of them, and eventually he tries to get his revenge, fails, gets crucified, and then they use a wizard to, heal his wounds. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
But it has like so many classic moments, it's like I said, it's the quintessential Barbarian movie, and everyone's tried to copy it, of course.
Barbarian movies kind of get jumbled up in my head with like sword and sorcery movies and like sci-fi movies.
Well, and I think that's totally fair because even just looking on like say Prime and stuff like that, a lot of the Barbarian quote unquote movies, there is a sword and sorcery high fantasy concept to them, right?
Yeah.
Because even
like,
Conan.
Is Barbarella a barbarian story? But it's not.
No, it's definitely not.
No, it's sci-fi.
Yeah. But yeah, because even Conan, like I just explained, there's like he meets like a possessed like witch demon lady early in the movie. They, like I said, use magic to bring him back. There's evil spirits. Valeria dies because James Earl Jones shoots a snake from a bow at her, and then she comes back to life.
A snake?
Yeah.
With a bow?
Yeah, because he uses evil magic and then makes a snake into an arrow, and then arrows her.
It's like a lot of work when you could just use an arrow.
No, there's reasons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that was my.
Use like a poison-tipped arrow? Wouldn't that be easier?
No, because he's got snakes. Doesn't need poison-tipped arrow.
But it just seems like a lot of work to change a snake into an arrow. Does it turn back into a snake when it hits her?
Well, basically, it's a snake in her, and then they take it out of her, and it's still a snake, and then they throw it away. So it's like always a snake.
So is a snake flying through the air at her?
Yeah, well, he's using evil magic, is all I'm saying.
Can't you just use this spell to like suffocate her or something? Wouldn't that be easier?
But there's not that, there's not that kind of magic. It's evil. Like,
Couldn't you make a snake appear at her feet that just bites her?
Well, they're riding away on horses at the time, so he needs the bow.
This still seems way more complicated than it needs to be. I think you could just shoot her with an arrow.
Yeah, but he uses the spell to make the snake seek her out, and it's like a homing arrow snake.
Oh, now I see.
Yeah.
Now this makes sense.
Exactly. But like just like piggybacking on what you're saying is that even like all these movies usually have some kind of fantasy, high sorcery element to them, right?
Yeah.
Like the good ones, or I think all of them, like all the ones I watched did anyway.
Trying to think. I can't think of any Barbarian movies that I've seen.
Well, that's interesting. I honestly thought you had seen Conan because, of course, they did the sequel, Conan the Destroyer, in 1984.
Didn't see that either.
Oh, and yeah, Conan. It's just more further adventures on him. He gets hired by this queen to go to escort a woman on a quest, and to get the magical horn so they can revive their god.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then it turns out, the god's going to destroy the world, essentially. So Conan fights everybody and kills the god that's coming back.
Good old Conan.
Basically. It's like this big papier-mâché monster in a suit, and it's excellent.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. But what's interesting in that is the budgets on the Conan was... So Conan 82, it was $20 million, and it did $68 million in the box office.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. Would have been
Yeah.
like the Avengers of its time.
Absolutely. But Conan 84, it had an $18 million budget, and you can kind of almost tell because it looks a little cheaper in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
But then it only did $34 million in box office.
Oh, people were over it at that point?
Yeah, like it almost seemed like either because it wasn't as good as the first one, like people didn't go say probably like multiple reviewings. And also maybe the trend was already starting to die.
To wane, yeah.
But then studios were trying to hop on. Because I wanted to bring this up when I was looking it up so I looked up in like just Wikipedia, like a list of Barbarian movies, essentially, right?
Uh-huh.
And in the 70s, there was like, say, 5 or 6 kind of thing. I didn't really count it as much. But then in the 80s, there was like 34 of them. And this is, again, probably like, not direct to video, like just like studio type releases. And in the 90s, there was 11. So it was like the trend was done.
What Barbarian movies came out in the 90s?
I don't have the titles all listed here. I just kind of copied it down, or I was just counted them. And then in the 2000s, there was 15. So there was like, a little bit of an upswing.
Oh, so it came back.
Yeah. And then in the 10s, there was only 7.
Oh, so, what counts as a Barbarian movie, though? With, like, Scorpion King?
Yes.
That counts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, again, it's, like,
Barbarian-ish. Yeah, I can
Barbarian-ish.
see that being super popular in, like, the 2000s because there was that wave of, like, Vin Diesel Triple X movies.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy to just put that character in like a Barbarian movie. They're kind of like modern day Barbarian movies.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, the Scorpion King was, of course, spun off from the Scorpion King Mummy movie, and it had The Rock in it. And like I remember being pretty excited because I was like, oh, that seems like it'll be a lot of fun, a lot of entertaining. And then it was all right.
It was okay. It was
basically.
Great. Yeah.
Well, and especially in that one, because they tried to shoehorn more mythology into, like, we've already seen his Egyptian mythology, and it was like they tried to expand it and everything, and it was just like, that doesn't really work.
Yeah.
But I thought the one thing I wanted to bring up, so Conan, of course, had a 2011 release, just called Conan with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And so I rewatched that, of course. And it's not terrible. It actually it's all right. It's like watchable, but it's not great. And I feel like the movie could be trimmed like a lot, and it would probably be a lot more kind of fun and high energy because it drags in some spots.
How long was it?
I don't know, like 2 something probably, right?
I wonder if that's just because like that was a trend to do longer movies.
I think so. I just feel like they do a whole big section with him as a child.
Oh God!
And I'm like, you should,
thank you.
Yeah, just cut all that out, because that's what Conan initially had, like with Schwarzenegger as well has. It has a section with him as a child, but it's pretty short. And this they tried to like expand on it and make it bigger or more epic, and it was like, no, you should just cut it.
I understand the value of an origin story. Like I get that, but if I'm watching something like Conan, I feel like I want it to just be him being awesome right away.
Yeah.
Like with Batman, right? Like I don't need another Batman Begins. I would like to watch Batman just kick ass.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and yeah, watching that as well. Like again, you can have a small thing. It's like, oh, here's this village, and it gets attacked. You're like, okay, cool. But they do this whole sequence, and it's just like, whatever. But my point was going to be, so they spent $100 million on this movie in 2011. Pretty sure it was rated R, maybe 13. I don't know. But it only did $63 million in box office.
Oof.
So it made less money than a movie from 1982 in 2011 dollars.
Oof.
Yeah. So which I think that put the nail in. There's no more of these.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, give them like 5 years and they'll reboot it, I guess.
They'll try again. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to the 80s. If we're talking, so I watched Red Sonja, which I had never seen before.
Oh, yeah.
Which was another character created by Robert E. Howard, sorry. And it's not supposed to be in the Conan universe, but it's basically Conan universe.
Okay.
Right? Because you've seen the comics and etc. Like, you know who Red Sonja is.
Yeah, is it a little bit like a Xena Hercules situation?
I think so.
Where like Xena technically exists in the same universe as Hercules, but their paths rarely cross.
Well, according to what I've read, technically they're not even supposed to be in the same universe. But they pretty much are the same universe.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so that one stars Bridget Nielsen, and which is funny because they offered the role of Red Sonja to the woman who played Valeria in Conan.
Oh, interesting.
And she turned down the role, saying she didn't want to get typecast as that kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
But she plays the evil queen in Red Sonja. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
So she gets some work there. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger agreed to appear in the movie, and he thought he would just do like a small cameo. And turns out the director, like the way they did the script, he's in half the movie. So it kind of takes away a little bit from Red Sonja.
Nice. Okay.
But the movie has, going back to what you were saying previously, it starts off with essentially she getting attacked and raped, and her family and everything getting murdered. And the whole movie, because she's all like, I don't like being touched anymore. And you're like, yeah, I get it. And then, but they're like, oh, you can't, be against everybody forever, Red Sonja. And it's like, no, it's cool, Sonja, do your thing.
Ew.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ew, don't be gross, the 80s. Stop it.
But it's interesting because I didn't look at the box office for this movie, but the movie's not terrible. I feel like they introduced this Prince character child, which I don't like, and he shouldn't be in the movie. But her going around doing stuff, and I was like, this is cool. But it never got a sequel or anything, as far as I know.
Now, we were talking about this the other day, but you think we should bring back Red Sonja?
Well, like I said, there was a lot of talk about it that Rose McGowan was going to do it, and it was going to be with Troublemaker Studios. But as far as I'm aware, they don't have the rights anymore. And I think the character could work. I think a Conan-type movie or a Red Sonja movie could totally work nowadays. But it could, it just doesn't have to be... I don't know. It just has to be smarter.
Could fill the Game of Thrones void.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fantasy is still in people's minds, and it'd be dark and gritty, but it doesn't have to be schlocky. And people will be totally into it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and this was something I wanted to bring up a lot because, like I was saying, how the numbers on it dropped and stuff like that, is that it does seem like an untapped market that could be brought back at a reasonable budget and made simpler. But I also think that maybe it might not work because audiences want more complex villains, and villains in these kind of pieces are not very complex. Right?
One-dimensional, right?
Yeah, and that's on purpose.
Yeah.
But so that's what I was saying. It could have to be written a little differently or what have you. But I also thought that maybe is it because, as proven in the 90s, that it works well on TV.
Well, like with Xena.
Exactly.
which is the best show ever.
Yeah, because Xena and Hercules, they ran for quite a while, right?
Yeah, and even like, I mean, it's a little bit different, but even Sinbad was pretty popular for a bit too.
Hmm. And didn't they do like the Prince of Thieves spin-off, or was that Sinbad? No, wasn't there
No,
Bruce
no, no,
Campbell?
they did a Prince of Thieves spin-off with Bruce Campbell, but I think it
Yeah.
only lasted one season.
Oh, okay. But Xena and Hercules went for like 7 or 9 seasons, right?
Oh yes, Xena went on for 6 seasons,
Yeah.
and it was
And
great. It's a great show.
yeah. And but that's what I was saying, like, because those are episodic, like she goes to a place, fights a bad guy, or what have you, and maybe there's a, an overall arc to the season, but it's like simpler stories.
Yeah, definitely. And well, I mean, like there's kind of generally there's like a 3 or 4 arc kind of towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like one-off episodes, which a lot because they were like 26 episodes long too, that are allow them to do really like stupid funny shit. Like when Gabrielle gets knocked in the head and then she has like a fever dream of being a mermaid and married to Jockster, and it's kind of like an Overboard story, but it's also like they're like 1960s mermaids in a tiki bar. Like it's so weird.
Nice.
Yeah. It's important that people know this about this episode. And Xena's not in it at all because Xena, I think Lucy Lawless was pregnant at the time. They had to do a lot of like maneuvering with the story because when Lucy Lawless got pregnant, because she obviously didn't fit in that tiny little costume at those times. Yes. So that's why they go north and she has to wear all the heavy robes.
Well, yeah.
Or why there's like 3 episodes where she's in sorry, I'm totally getting off topic. But
no, this is on topic.
Totally on topic. What are those things called? The stocks, right? Where you have your head and your hands in it. Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Like in medieval times, the wooden thing.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Like like a prisoner stocks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
sorry,
like,
I thought you were talking like an item of clothing.
No. There's like 3 episodes where she's like in the stocks, but it's like floating in water, so you can't see her pregnancy belly.
Right.
It's great storytelling, obviously.
Yeah. But I just like, that those 2 shows kind of like use that barbarian fantasy idea, and then just like, there people were making movies essentially because that void was filled by those 2 shows for a long time, right?
Oh, totally. If they made a Red Sonja show, I would watch it.
I wasn't even thinking that. I was, like initially thinking a Red Sonja movie, but a Red Sonja show could be super sweet, like a 6 or 8 kind of episode thing.
Yeah, like a limited series, but like, or if they brought back Xena, like, and used the same actresses, so it was like an older Xena and Gabriel, and they were finally a lesbian couple, I would watch that too. Lucy Lawless is still pretty fit. She could still kick ass as Xena.
That's fair enough.
I mean, half of her ability on that show is the sound effects that they add afterwards.
Yeah, what was her origin again? She was like super bad guy and then became a good guy, but she did have some kind of supernatural powers, didn't she? Or she was like part goddess or something? No,
she was a warlord who decided not to be one anymore. I think Hercules convinced her to be good.
Right.
And then she was just good after that.
But I thought she like dies and came back, or maybe I'm thinking
she dies several times and comes back.
Okay.
Yeah, like I believe season 4, she dies and goes to heaven, and Gabrielle also dies but ends up in hell, so Xena has to go to hell and become a demon to save Gabrielle. It's very complicated.
Sure.
It was cool imagery, though.
Sure. But
she also becomes the god. Oh, I'm having a dumb moment, but one of the Hindu gods of war.
Oh yeah, Ganesh, or no?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's in one of her episodes when they're in India because Gabrielle wants to do yoga. She embodies it. It's such a weird show, but it's so good.
Yeah, or is it Vishnu? Vishnu or Ganesh?
Vishnu. Yeah.
It's
That's
Vishnu.
it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. She becomes Vishnu for one episode.
Because that's what you do.
That's what you do. Oh, she also gives birth to, it's complicated. She gives birth to Eve. No, wait, that's Gabrielle gives birth to Eve, who's evil and is like the reincarnation of Calypso or something. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm getting it all mixed up. But then Xena gives birth to somebody who's going to end up killing all the gods.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think it's like Immaculate Conception or something. I don't know. It's such a good show.
Yeah, well, and like I think we've talked about, of course, shows have more room to explore and set up things, and especially these days.
Be so silly.
Yeah. Especially, yeah, like these days in the, the golden era, as it were, that it's like people can, yeah, if you can write your 6 or 8 episode thing of Conan or Red Sonja or whatever, it's like, it could totally work.
Oh, yeah. And I think that Gamora should play Red Sonja.
Yeah. Yeah, Zoe Saldana as Red Sonja would be awesome.
Totally. Who would you cast as Conan?
I think I would give it to Momoa again.
Yeah, you think he could do it?
Yeah, his Conan was pretty good. He was a little more tongue in cheek than, like, say, Schwarzenegger's Conan, but I think he could do it again.
Oh, cool.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, I guess 9 years ago, but like he's still fit and he's a big guy.
Yeah, I think he'd be good.
Yeah. But it was funny because, so like I said, I watched a ton of these movies that it's like they all have sort of the same kind of plot where it's like there's some kind of evil sorcerer who has either a sacrifice plan or he has to just do something and then he's going to gain all the power. Because like there's the one that on Prime, I don't know if you watched it, it was called, it was like Twin Sorceresses, I think, or something like that, or Twin Sorcerer.
Okay.
And it's ridiculous in that... there's like a woman, she has some kids, and the bad guy sorcerer, they're his kids, and she's trying to get away from him. He tracks her down, kills her and everything, but he's like, I need to know which one is the firstborn so I can sacrifice her to, like, my evil god to, like, gain the power. She doesn't tell him, and then, Uber monk guy manages to get the kids away and puts them in a farm. But it's 2 girls, right? And he's like, Don't tell them that they're girls because no one can find that they're here. And then so the whole movie, they think they're like genderless essentially, or that they don't know that there's different genders.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
But they start the movie nude, and then they're nude again like several times throughout the movie. And then everyone's like, what are you doing? And they're like, what? And they're like, don't you notice a difference here?
They're like, nah.
No, yeah, basically they're just like, oh, what are you talking about? But
they're just woke as fuck the whole movie. Gender is a construct.
Yeah. Oh, but it's just like ridiculous.
Oh man, that sounds hilarious. So do they rise up and kill the sorcerer?
Well, basically, yeah, what happens is one of them gets kidnapped, and then the sorcerer is like, hey, you're actually my kids. What you've been told is a lie. And then he basically kind of like drugs her and this other barbarian guy they use Soma because they're very literary advanced. And the other one tries to rescue her kind of thing. And then eventually, yeah, they team up and kill the sorcerer and his evil army and etc.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is there lots of boobs in it?
Yes. Like I said, the 2 girls, or 2 women, sorry, they're topless a bunch of times. A bunch of other people are topless a bunch of times. So, yeah, like they start the movie topless. They're The first time you see them, they're both nude because they're like swimming, and then they're like walking down a path, and I was just like, okay, I guess that's how you capture your audience.
They're like, listen, we've got twins, and they're willing to be naked, so we'll just write the story around that.
Basically.
Artistic merit all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds great.
That's another one from the 80s, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch any others?
Oh, yeah, actually, I did watch Beastmaster, which was from 1982. That one's always cited as a classic as well.
What's that about?
That one's, again, you got an orphan boy, and he's being raised by this, farmer-type village. The village gets attacked. He, unlike other ones, he gets in there and tries to do some fighting, but gets, like, kind of knocked out and, hidden away and survives. But he has an ability to talk to animals, which keeps hidden. But my favorite is when he's like, normal day to day, he's just wearing like the leather jerkin and got his sword and etc. But then when he decides to go on the quest for revenge, he gets rid of all of that, and then he's just wearing the loincloth, the headband, and some boots.
Oh no!
No, because you're like, I can't be hampered by these clothing.
Oh no!
And then he goes on the quest. He meets some animals that he befriends, and then he meets some women. Turns out one of them is supposed to be sacrificed, and then it turns out she has the past that the evil sorcerer took over her home, and they fight back, rise up, win the day.
So, question.
Yeah.
Do the animals talk in the movie?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
He just talks to them, and he has like these two ferrets, and he's like, "Go get that key," and then he like drops them somewhere.
Wait, stop. He has ferrets?
Yeah, his animal companions are.
He has snake rats.
Yeah, his animal companions are ridiculous. He has two ferrets. I think there's like a hawk or an eagle type, bird.
Eagle eats the ferrets?
No, because he keeps it under check. They're his friends.
Uh-huh.
And a tiger.
And a tiger.
Yeah.
Wow, because like when you say ferrets, I'm like, well, are they just using like whatever the crew? If anybody had pets, they brought them in.
Yeah, just bring your pet to work day.
But they also have an eagle and a tiger.
Yeah. Why
did they include the ferrets if they have an eagle and a tiger?
The ferrets were meant to be like his little thieves, because there's a terrible scene that the ferrets steal his clothes while he's swimming.
Okay.
But then he chases the ferrets for like 2 minutes. And then he's like, "You guys are good at stealing things. You're my pets now." And he puts them in his bag.
He puts them in his bag?
Yeah, he's got like the leather pouch a la Chewbacca, and he's just like, "Oh, in my bag."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Most of these movies are insane.
Who wrote this?
I don't know. But there's like 2 sequels, I think, to Beastmaster.
Did you watch the sequels?
I did not.
Oh.
Because one of them, I think it might be the next one, but there's one that's like Beastmaster out of time. Like he goes to modern day, and I was like, I'm not watching that.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a guinea pig in that one. A guinea pig and an elephant.
Yeah, because you can't have a tiger in modern day LA walking around. It would look weird.
No, but an elephant, definitely.
Yeah.
So did you watch any others?
Yes, I watched something else on Prime. I wasn't sure whether to include it or not, but it had David Carradine.
Oh, it sounds great.
Yeah. No, but and it's supposed to be like a different planet or something like that kind of thing, but he's some kind of wanderer type guy. That's why it wasn't as barbarian-y as I was. But basically, they do a Yojimbo story.
A what?
Like Yojimbo, or like one of the Clint Eastwood Man with No Names, where he comes into a town and there's 2 warring factions, and then he plays them both off each other and works for one and then works for the other, and etc. And eventually kind of destroys both of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's been in like tons of movies, but basically that was that one, and it was all right, but it wasn't nothing special.
Yeah. Boo.
I know, yeah. So, I mean, as far as like the major Barbarian ones that I enjoyed in my like recent watchings was, of course, the Conan from 82, 84. And the Red Sonja was pretty good. It had some good moments. And then, yeah, the Deathstalker, I enjoyed all four of them, but they're all kind of madness. Like they're hour 20, and it's just kind of like I said, just pure madness the whole time where you're like, this is ridiculous. Especially the second one, like I don't know if you've seen that Red Letter Media episode where they watch one and then eventually watch the second one and just like how starkly different it is. They're not kidding, where it's just like the actors joking around, goofing off, having a good time about it, and it's supposed to be this serious thing, and it's just like, this is ridiculous.
Nice.
Yeah. But I haven't watched the Scorpion King, the one with the Rock, in a while, because that's from 2002. I think I watched it in theater, and then that was it. That was the last time I saw it.
Yeah, do you think it aged really well?
I don't know. Probably not. But the crazy thing is I think there's like 4 sequels to it or something like that, or there's like a bunch.
Yeah, there's a bunch of sequels.
But I think, yeah, like they're
like none of them have The Rock in it.
Yeah, and they're more direct to video kind of releases, right? So
it's kind of like the third sequel to Underworld, where it was like Underworld, but the past.
Right.
It had none of the like actors in it, and then they came back for Underworld 4.
Yeah.
Which ended on a cliffhanger. Like they're going to do an Underworld 5, but I don't think they're going to do an Underworld 5.
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't see Underworld 3 in theater, but then eventually I watched it and I was like, oh, okay, it's not bad, but it was also telling a story that they told in Underworld 1.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, wait, we've seen this, but now you're just like showing us in movie form and it doesn't make as much sense, right?
I didn't see Underworld 3, but that was my understanding. But I did watch Underworld 4, and it was very bad.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
It's very bad. It's like some of the worst movie make it, like, not that it's like unwatchable, but like just like, why did you make this movie? This doesn't make any sense. No one seems to want to be in it. Like,
right.
Just bad choices, you know?
Yeah. Well, and yeah, like I was saying, just it's an interesting thing that they haven't tried to make one of these in the more recent times, but I think it could work. But also, it seems like the bigger movies these days, let's say that get the major studio releases from, they have to be some kind of big budget thing, right?
Yeah.
But something like this could be released on streaming, or like you said, a 6 to 8 episode miniseries. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be like a good Netflix or Prime or HBO or whatever.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's just, yeah, because it's like, it's not something that needs a huge budget, but it's something that needs to be written well so that it works, because you're trying to sell people on this world as well as you and that's could be it as well, because I think like we've talked about before, you got to build sets and costumes, anything with that's like a period type thing, harder to do, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, doable.
I think so as well. I think we were joking around about it. It's like, you can do a simple thing. Conan ends up on an island and he's got to stop some kind of cultist kind of thing, similar to the second Conan the Destroyer. Doesn't have to involve a lot of people and doesn't have to be big and epic, but it just has to be kind of fun, good action, a couple good character moments, and that's it, right?
Or just like if they did a Red Sonja TV series and it was just episodic, like with 10 episodes, maybe with like an arc over the last 3 episodes, but the rest of it was just episodic of her fighting things.
Yeah.
I would watch it.
Yeah.
Throw some fantasy elements in there, have her fight stand monsters or something. I don't know.
Sure. I'd be highly interested in that kind of an idea as well. Like, yeah, she's just going on an adventure. And like you said, the last 3 or 4 episodes, there's kind of a bigger story that she has to encounter and deal with. Cool.
Yeah, perfect.
Like I said, it just seems untapped, but then it also seems like movie audience, especially, like Thanos was a popular villain, right? Because he was complex and layered and there was more going on than just, I will destroy the world, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could have like, okay, going back to Red Sonja, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So like episode 1, she's like the warrior and she meets kind of like a bookish guy.
Yeah.
So you get that reversal, right? Where he's more like the princess and she's the barbarian.
Sure.
And then they get separated for most of it. They kind of have a romantic thing, but then they get separated. And then we kind of follow him like a little bit in each episode. And he thinks that he's doing the right thing for the world by magic thing that'll kill a bunch of people. You
Right.
have to fight him. The end.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We have a complex villain because like they have feelings for each other and he thinks he's doing the right thing.
Right.
And then she has to kill him.
There you go.
And then all the heartstrings have been pulled. She's killing her love.
Yeah. There you go.
Hire me, Netflix. I'll write you stories.
So many stories, Netflix.
So many stories. I got tons.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting with Red Sonja because that came out in '85, and the production value of it was pretty good. Because, like I said, because Schwarzenegger was in there, and they had really good sets, and like the final confrontation was kind of funny. It took place so the MacGuffin in that one was like this crystal. The more light that it had, it could release like energy, and basically the evil queen, she was feeding it. She put it in this big like kind of pyramid type room, and it was full of candles, so it was like super bright and getting all sorts of light, and then it was unleashing massive storms, and she was using it to like blackmail kingdoms to be like, hey, swear fealty to me and pay me or I'll destroy your kingdom. So like I said, it was cool stuff, and then good sets, and then at the end they fight in that room full of candles and etc. And then basically the power's gone too far and it's going to destroy the world, kind of thing. So
I just looked up 1985 Red Sonja.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's name comes first on the poster, and he's bigger than her.
Yes, I know. Like I said, it was ridiculous. Like
he was 3 times her size on the poster. He takes up like 2/3 of the poster.
Well, he was quite big at the time, right? So
I get that, but that's kind of funny considering he thought it was a cameo.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny watching the movie because you can almost see that in action, because he shows up in the beginning and he meets up with Red Sonja, and they have a little bit of dialogue and etc. And he's all like, oh, I'm just trying to do this thing, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, I don't want you anymore. Like, get away from me. I'm going to go on the quest, essentially. And then he shows up like another time, like halfway through the movie, let's say. And again, they have a little more dialogue. He helps her like get through this gate. And then again, she's like, get away from me. And then he just kind of again is like there at the end. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is pretty hilarious.
You know what? They were probably like modern day movie people, and they were like, you know what doesn't sell? Female leads. We got to get Arnold Schwarzenegger in here.
Yeah, it's again because and at the time he was so well known that and in these kinds of movies as well, that it's like it's the male barbarian star, right?
Yeah. Oh well.
It is the crazy 80s and they're doing crazy stuff. Should
we wrap it up, or is there more you want to talk about?
I don't know. I was about to say, is there anything more you want to talk about?
I just think everybody should watch Xena.
Yeah, that's fair.
And sign my petition to make it come back.
Did you ever watch Hercules as much or no?
No, fuck Hercules. Why would I watch him? He's dumb. I hated all the episodes he was in.
Right. That's fair.
Also, isn't Kevin Sorbo like a pedophile or racist or something?
I don't know. Probably.
I think they were supposed to not like Kevin Sorbo.
Right.
So fuck him.
Okay, fair enough. No, I was just curious because I never really watched either show as much because I'm more of a sci-fi guy. And
I have all of the seasons of Xena on DVD, Dan.
I know. I've watched some.
Because I made you.
Yes. But yeah, like I was never really totally into Xena. A couple of my friends were, but I was like, so I've seen the occasional episode here and there, but it was never, didn't grab me as much, say as a Star Trek or something, right? So.
But it's so much better than Star Trek.
No.
No, it really is.
But yeah, I think, like I said, my ultimate point kind of almost is that Xena and Hercules, especially Xena, because I think it was the more popular one, really kind of carried that barbarian fantasy torch along for a long time.
Oh, totally.
And then they attempted with The Rock to be like, yeah, this is good. Because I'm sure if Scorpion King did well, they were going to like, let's make a sequel with The Rock, but it didn't do well, right?
Yeah. Did you watch a movie that came out, would have been after 2013, maybe 2014, with The Rock where he played Hercules?
No.
It was enjoyable.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It wasn't like the best movie ever, and they weren't quite clear on whether it was like a real version of Hercules or if there was some sort of mythical powers, because they tried to make it seem real, but then he also did like stuff that no human would be able to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you think that you decide that early on in the production of the movie.
Yeah, they didn't quite draw that line in the sand of what it was, but I enjoyed it. It was good.
Cool.
Well, it wasn't good, but it was enjoyable. We'll say that.
Well, that's fair. I think it's like I said, it's like that 2011 Conan. I remember watching it, around that when it came out, and I was like, this is not very good. On the rewatch, I was like, okay, I can see there's some good stuff in here, but like I was saying, trim it down, change a couple things, and it probably would have been better in my opinion, but it wasn't a horrible watch compared to some of the other stuff I watched.
Compared to Warrior Queen?
Yeah, oh gosh. Like I said, that was a total bait and switch. That movie, very much, it got me, because I was like, damn it, movie, this is not the movie I thought.
Yeah, it was no good.
Yeah. Thought it was going to be about this, Xena-esque Red Sonja warrior queen.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, that's what I wanted too. We both got tricked.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess in all my rantings and all those talkings, and like you were asking me previously, I think 100%, you can watch those 2 Conan movies. Red Sonja is pretty enjoyable. I think Deathstalker 1 and 4 are crazy, but they're sort of fun to watch. But most of them are they're not very good, unfortunately.
True that.
Most of the Barbarian genre, I'm not saying I've experienced it all, but unfortunately not living up to the quality here.
But if we missed a really great Barbarian movie and you want us to know about it, then by all means reach out on social media or email us. And tell us we're wrong, because we would love to watch a good one.
Absolutely. I would totally relish good suggestions.
Yeah. I mean, is there a good Barbarian anime out there?
Yeah, I didn't really think about looking in that way.
Isn't that kind of what Berserk was?
Oh. No, I want to say it. Then also, I kind of see where you're going. Berserk's amazing. I mean, I've watched it a ton of times, so.
I've never watched it.
It's amazing. So.
I know you like it. That's why I'm just bugging you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you want to find us, you can. We're online at Tome of Uselessness on all the social media. Or go to our website, tomeofuselessness.com, or email us, tomeofuselessness@gmail.com, and download us on all the things and rate and review us on iTunes and anything else.
Just stay safe and thanks for listening.
Bye!